There, from my friend, Flo, hello. Hello. Anyway, seeing you're sitting there, yes, that's you live on your own video. I told you I was going to show you the story on the running in Sydney and the he's other than the Philippines. Right. Anyway, here's the story I promised to show you, the running over the Sydney Harbour Bridge. But first of all, I'll put on the manhunt in Victoria.
In the hunt for fugitive cop killer Desi Freeman, with flashes and bangs going off in a remote Victorian forest.
Also, an accused sex offender, his family have now gone public, saying they're helping with the investigation and stand with police. Yeah, that's smoke. That's smoke.
The hunt for Australia's most wanted man. Fire from the helicopter. Then a second flash. There's no confirmation on what's happened, but police have a message for the cop killer.
If Desi Freeman's watching this, ring 000 and we will support a surrender plan.
This is hectic,
Police carefully searching Freeman's property, looking for any clue, aware there could be traps. This is the commune where Freeman rented. After being evicted from one of the homes, he ended up living on a bus, possibly here, covered with solar panels.
You got dogs and everything here. The dogs there? Yeah.
Freeman was being investigated for child sexual abuse, a minor under the age of 16. The killer opened fire as officers served a warrant, taking the lives of Senior Constable Vadim Devart and Detective Neil Thompson, who served for almost 40 years.
And we'd spent the last few months talking about his retirement,
which was due to start tomorrow. And now a police farewell no one could imagine. Saluting at attention a police guard of honour as the coroner's van transports the bodies of their slain comrades.
it's hard to actually talk to him.
Freeman hated police. Cops are the enemies of humanity, the new Gestapo, he posted in 2023. The only good cop is a dead cop.
He became fixated on people. He couldn't let things go.
7 Spotlight producer Luke Mortimer got to know Freeman while working on a story.
Once COVID happened and the government told him to stay indoors, he really became radicalised. And that's what tipped him over the edge.
In a statement to 7 News, Freeman's family say they're actively assisting police. Devastated.
That's the bushland where he is. So everybody watching this, that's the countryside he's in.
By the loss of 2 officers. Decades ago, Desi detached.
That's a helicopter right there. You see, they place it over the helicopter. This is massive bushland. It's just west of the big snow for all the skiers in Victoria. It's like the ski fields in Colorado and all that. This is a big, massive area.
From us, we stand with the brave members of.
Anyway, that's
Close to zero, bringing with it sleet and driving rain, making it tough going out there for Freeman, even tougher for police.
We will not rest until we apprehend the offender.
Police blue shining bright across Melbourne overnight, a silent vigil in memory of the men who gave their lives for a job to help protect us all.
Now, could you imagine this in America? The city has put on blue lights in all the famous landmarks. You just seen it. Let's have a look again. I'll just take it back.
Bright across.
That is the famous Flinders Street railway station, which is in every movie ever filmed in Melbourne, and all the newsreels where the car ran into the people that was just down there several years ago killing people. That is the big famous, it's like the Statue of Liberty in New York, basically. And then you got
a silent.
That's the big football stadium.
In memory of the men.
That's the War Memorial in Canberra.
Who gave their lives for a job to help protect us all. Just left Desi Freeman's house, wrapping up a third day of searching his property. A heavily armoured Bearcat vehicle leading a convoy of police back to the command post, but police will continue their work through the night using surveillance and intelligence under the cover of darkness. Police are still working on the theory that Desi Freeman is alive and is armed and very dangerous.
Let's hope they get him soon. Taylor, thank you.
Right, so where he is north of Melbourne, about 100 k's south of the New South Wales Victorian border, and he's inland from the coast behind the ski fields, but he is sorry about that. He's east of the main highway, so you've got a main highway to Sydney here, you've got the New South Wales Victorian border here, you've got the Australian coastline, so that red line there, he's in about here somewhere, and Melbourne's down there, and Sydney is way up there. That's the easiest way. You go and look on a map. I'll find the name of the town, and I'll show you where it is on a map. Okay, well, I come across this weather map. There's Sydney. That's where I am. That's Newcastle. There's Canberra, Australia's capital. There is the Victorian border. That's South Australian border. Now, the government is in here. And the Hume Highway comes through Albury over here. And there's the ocean, and you can see that's the coast. And yes, that town is called Eden. You know when they say, go to Eden, God or whatever? So that's where this guy is. He's in all these mountain ranges down here. And there's Thredbo Ski Resort, New South Wales. And Mount Bull over here is the Victorian Ski Resort. So that gives you an idea. So there's Byron Bay. And that's the Queensland border here. So that's Queensland. So if you don't know Australia, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia. Right, pause it again. Now this bit of news is I rewound all my news collections. This is 2 days ago when we first got told about the shooting, and it was believed that he took his wife and 2 kids with him. But since found out today, Friday Australia time, so that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, his family is safe somewhere else in an undisclosed location, even from him. But this is how it first broke.
Breaking news on the deadly police shooting in Victoria and the hunt for a suspect.
To Victorian Chief Crime Reporter Cassie Zervos once again. Cassie, police have just given an update.
Right, that's the name of the town. Paul Punka. It's an Aboriginal word down in Victoria. So I'll hold it there for a second. Anybody wants to write it down, look it up. You can see on Google Maps how small this town is. Paul Punka. I've never even heard of it, and I'm an Aussie, and I've travelled down through Victoria. Even I have never heard of it, because it's on the road from Melbourne to the ski field. So you're coming from southern Victoria, where Melbourne is, up to the east coast, so you've got to go across inland, and that's one area I've never ever been. So that's where they are, Paul Punka. Very weird. Look, we had the name Wagga Wagga in New South Wales, and that's spelled W-A-G-G-A, and we say Wagga, but you say Wagga Wagga. But Wagga means crow, and Wagga Wagga means land of the crows. But that's just the Australian language. So there you go. You learn something new. Wagga in Australian means crow.
Guys, it's now been 8 hours since Desi Freeman opened fire, but as we go to air, the manhunt is still on to find him. This man, he is armed and he is dangerous, so much so Victoria Police has released a text message to every single person in town and surrounding suburbs to warn them there is an active shooter on the run and still at large. Myself and my cameraman also received that text message, but I do want to confirm where we are standing this evening. It is the safest place to be. We are surrounded by police officers officers in uniform and plainclothes officers. Now, we can confirm as well, police here have been stopping several cars as a precaution to make sure the gunman hasn't held someone else hostage. The Chief Commissioner, Mike Bush, addressed the media a short time ago. He has travelled all the way from Melbourne, which is about 5 hours from where I am right now, and he has spoken on this dark day.
Right, so there you go. She just said it. She's 5 hours from Melbourne down the south. So this is a very isolated area. And behind her, you can see a street sign that says Wangaratta. Now I'll get it to move ahead.
Chief Commissioner Mike.
That one there. That says Wangaratta. So Wangaratta is, I think it's Wangaratta. Was it the airport? Oh, anyway. That's where they are. They're east of Wangaratta. So anyway, I'll go find another story and then I'll do the running story. For my American friends and people overseas, okay, Sydney line. So that's Sydney there. There's Canberra inland there. There's Melbourne in the bite of the bottom end of Australia on the map. And this guy is right there in that green belt that you can even see on the news feature. Right? I mean, that's the Weather Channel, see? So 6 degrees is pretty cold. 15's, well, that's wet outside. So that gives you an idea of Australia. So then you've got Cairns up the top, you've got Darwin over there, Alice Springs over there, there's Adelaide, it's way down over here. Alice Springs is over here in the middle of Australia. There's Darwin, Broome, there's Perth. So, yeah. Did you know the size of Australia, in the same size as Perth square kilometres, is the same size as America? Bet you didn't know that, people. I just woke up on this one. A lot of people don't know Iran. Yes, that country, Iran, targets Bondi, Kosher, Delhi. Yes. So the ambassador for Iran has been kicked out of Australia today, Friday. He's now on a plane back to Iran, and he's only got embassy staff in the Tiran embassy, right? But the ambassador and his 3 or 4 assistants have been kicked out of Australia because the Australian government proved that Iran bombed the Jewish community at Bondi Beach, the famous Bondi, yes, where you see all those movies made of Bondi. Even famous American TV shows have been there. And also the synagogue in Melbourne. Anyway, let's move on. Here we go.
She's live for us at Wangaratta, where police have set up their base. Benny, this is an active situation. Schools have been locked down, children even taken hostage. Yeah, Deb, we understand there are a number of people with this alleged gunman. It is understood that some of those may be children, but this local school that was put into lockdown at Pawnpukka, we can report now that some of those children have been allowed to go home for the day after being in lockdown since around 11:30 this morning. However, some students are needing to remain at that school grounds as they live outside of this particular town, which is all blocked off at the moment. The roads have been closed off. Residents have told me they've been unable to go just a few houses beyond where the roadblocks are set up. That is the severity that police are treating this situation at the moment, trying to block the access points of an area.
Right, so there's Pawnpukka. There's the New South Wales border, and it runs up here. And somewhere behind that headline is Albury, and that's where you cross the border over the Murray River. So he's 100 k's south of Albury. So New South Wales Police, the big massive New South Wales, which is 15, I'll convert it to miles. So New South Wales is about 1,600 miles from there to the Queensland border, and it's 2,000 miles to the west. So you work out how big that is, and they're sending down all the New South Wales police that they can spare from all over the state, and their helicopters, along with Victorian police helicopters, even the ones that they have in the army with the machine guns, they got them on them. That's how dangerous this guy is. He's an avid bushman, and he goes hunting all through these hills. And this is where the big snowfall's going to be. And all this here is so isolated. Look in the back of the video when you see her talking, you see the big mountain ranges. Well, that is where he is, up in that foothills. And flying over in a helicopter, they can't see him, but he can see them.
Bushland that it's believed this alleged gunman has fled into after killing 2 police officers in the line of duty and seriously injuring a third as well. Now, it's understood that these officers a warrant, as police do every day, and that was in relation to allegations of historic...
So, yeah, he's had historic child sex charges were going to be laid against him. They had the warrant to arrest him for that, and that's when he ambushed them and shot the 2 coppers dead. He didn't even want the police on his property, but they were there legally to give him a search warrant and take him into custody. So, and he just said, no, here comes the cops. He didn't even realise that that's what it was for. He just seen cops and he opened fire.
To stay inside.
The uniform of the police force take risks each and every day.
Our thoughts and prayers are with Victoria.
If you're not aware who this guy is, that's Anthony Albanese. He is the Australian Prime Minister. He's the head of our country. And even he is acknowledging what has happened.
Our thoughts and prayers are with Victoria Police right now, the Commissioner and the community.
So we'll shut her up for a minute.
PM secures a meeting.
And the poor old police haven't got enough.
To killing a Sydney couple. The deputy...
Yes, we had a New South Wales policeman killed a Channel 9...
Guilty.
This guy here...
Sorry,
I'll just get it right.
This afternoon news, shock development, accused killer cop Bolamar Condon pleading.
That's Bolamar Condon, right? He's accused killer. He was a policeman, yes, and he murdered 2 gay people in Paddington, which is in the heart of Sydney where I am, and he took their bodies halfway, while we're doing Albury, Melbourne and all that, halfway down to Albury to a town called Goulburn, out in the bush, and he buried their bodies. And the bodies were found by somebody, and it all come back to him. And this is the 2 guys he killed.
Guilty to killing a...
Now, this guy here was the news reporter on Channel 9 or 7. He was the TV reporter. Oh, no, sorry. He was the news reporter, Channel 7, because there's the red and there's the TV monitor in the studio. He was a news reporter, and that was his husband. And he killed both of them and buried their bodies out in the bush. But anyway, that's another story.
Couple. The Deputy PM secures a meeting with Donald...
Oh, there we go. Bloody Donald Trump. Football, drugs. I'll come back to it in a second.
Good evening, Sandra. Well, Desi Freeman remains Australia's most wanted man tonight, and police are committed to putting every single resource into finding him. He's not been seen since Tuesday, but police will stop at nothing to find him. He's wanted over the shooting...
You're right. So we know all that. So this is sort of... I'm fast-forwarding this. I believe it is over 400 policemen are searching this area. And one of the younger policemen with a funny name, so to speak, he was from Belgium, and he was stationed in Melbourne, and he was up there on temporary he was, damn it, I started myself. He was up there in that town on temporary assignment to execute several warrants because they don't just set one bunch of warrants up, one warrant for that little town. It's so remote. So what they do, they go up there and they had 10 police officers to serve all these warrants. And these 3 policemen went to this one property and another 2 went around the town and the other 3 went out somewhere else and to serve up all these warrants and summonses to all these people, not to arrest them, just to tell them they had to go to court. But in this case, this guy was to be arrested. And this is now his housemate's story. He also is a foreigner. Now, I don't know what country he's from, but you really got to listen to his English. Then I'll be playing the running marathon I promised you before. So let's just take it back to him.
Sophie Jacobson reporting there, thank you. And the housemate of the accused police killer has spoken out in an exclusive interview with 10 News Plus, directly pleading with the fugitive. What would your message be to Desi?
To Desi, do the right thing for your family.
Hear the full message.
Well, that's about it there. All right, I'll go find the marathon.
Australia has broken his silence following bombshell revelations that Tiran was behind anti-Semitic attacks here in both Sydney and in Melbourne. The ousted diplomat says he loves Australia and its people, despite his government allegedly conspiring to fracture our society. Banished, but beaming.
I love Australia.
The Iranian ambassador smiling and waving to the cameras that have been camped outside since his expulsion over Iran's links to anti-Semitic attacks in Sydney and Melbourne.
Do you believe that Iran are behind these attacks? Just, I love Australia.
He has until tomorrow to leave the country. The Middle East driving the comings and goings in Canberra.
Oh, that's some footballer. Anyway, should be the marathon next. Now, what you've been waiting for, historic marathon. Now, you might remember this. I think she's African lady. She's a runner. Now, this is apparently a historic marathon. It's never been done before. It's going over the harbour bridge and then comes back through underneath the Sydney Harbour, through the Sydney Harbour Tunnel. And then it goes down to another area, and I'll keep pausing the video, run my finger down along the map so you understand they are running 45 kilometres, which is about over 30 miles, all the way through Sydney. So the Sydney Harbour Bridge is going to be stopped. The Sydney Harbour Tunnel is going to be stopped for traffic. And the only way you get over the Sydney Harbour Bridge is by train. So you can imagine when all those cars are going to go from one side of the harbour to the other. Imagine closing the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge, or all the bridges in Boston, all the bridges in New York, and everybody had to go around another way. That's how big our Sydney Harbour Bridge is. Right, so that gives you an idea the amount of traffic screw-up this is going to cause. Now, the Premier resisted the Palestinian protests using the Sydney Harbour Bridge, but they let it go ahead. And then it was shot all over the world, the Palestinian protests over the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is the most world-famous bridge there is, apart from the Golden Gate. So you can imagine how much attention that protest march got, and even had WikiLeaks leader, what's his name, after he got away from America and out of England and out of all that, and he's back over here in Australia, he's been back here now for over a year, even he was in the front of the queue. Blank, can't think of his name. Anyway, WikiLeaks leader, you know, the guy was on the run, and he hid in the embassy in London for 8 years, and his kids grew up over here in Australia, and he didn't see his kids for 8 years, and anyway. Here's the story anyway. Let's get on with it. Very famous Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Just days away from breaking the record for the largest marathon in Australian history. 35,000 runners are all set to take part in what will be the first and only world marathon major in the Southern Hemisphere. All eyes are on Sydney as some of the world's fastest runners touch down on Australian soil, including legendary Eliud Kipchoge, arguably the greatest men's marathon runner of all time.
We have come here to run, we have come here to enjoy every mile in Sydney.
And female favourite Sifan Hassan.
I'm really happy to be here in Australia.
35,000 participants from over 100 countries will be taking to Sydney streets come Sunday. And when the gun goes off, Sydney will become one of the most prestigious marathons in...
Now, that building there is St Mary's Cathedral, and that's the Sydney Pool, and that over there is Hyde Park. So if you go across Hyde Park to the other side, you'd be in all the high-rise buildings of Sydney, and if you go down that way, down the hill, you'd be in King's Cross, the famous King's Cross. So that's where that is directly in the middle of the city. It's right around the corner from Parliament House.
In the world.
We are now just days away from the first running of the TCS Sydney Marathon as the 7th World Marathon Major.
That puts Sydney alongside Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, Chicago and New York. 300,000 spectators are expected to...
That's what it sort of looks like. There's the Opera House. The Sydney Harbour Tunnel is in between the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, and it comes up just over there when it comes out of the water. That's where that is. So the Sydney Harbour Tunnel is directly below to the Harbour Bridge, but towards the Opera House. So if you don't know where the Sydney Harbour Tunnel is, that's where it is. It's in between those two great icons.
Line the streets of the 42-kilometre race, triggering road closures across the city. From North Sydney to Kingsford, major roads will be closed for most of the day. The Sydney Harbour Bridge, Cahill Expressway and Western Distributor are included.
Ideally use public transport.
Right.
And Western
So basically, that's where they're running. They come down here, they do a circle and they come back, and then they go down another road and they go down around the city over here, and then they end up finishing at the Opera House, which is about here, but they also come over from here, and then they come back down through the Harbour Tunnel. That's the Harbour Tunnel there, so that's where they come out of that. I think that's what they're trying to draw. But anyway, let's keep watching.
are included.
Ideally use public transport. That's going to be the best way to get into the city.
Preparations are underway as they get ready for 35,000 runners to cross the finish line here outside the Sydney Opera House, which is arguably the most picturesque finish line in the world. Doors open today for participants' bib collection.
We are happy. We are coming from the Netherlands. And for me, it's the 7th marathon, and my husband the 6th one.
My Fort Sydney. The finish line's the best.
Which is something everyone who starts the race hopes to see. Emma Olsen, 10 News.
Tara Rushton's.
So there you go. That's it. So if you want to know when the run is on, it's on. I'll rewind it for you. And
Matthew Cuss student. Just days away from breaking the record for the largest marathon in Australian history. 35,000 runners are all set to take part in what will be the first and only World Marathon Major in the Southern Hemisphere.
All eyes are on Sydney as some of the world's fastest runners touch down on Australian soil, including legendary Eliud Kipchoge, arguably the greatest men's marathon runner of all time.
We have come here to run.
I think it's on Sunday, this Sunday. Anyway, just leave it at that. See you later, Mr. Hominoid. I hope you like that. Bringing you up to date on the Australian news. Only I don't usually do news features. I don't do we don't hardly ever get a manhunt. The last famous manhunt we had was the Aboriginal guy who murdered his own niece in Dubbo in Western New South Wales, and he was on the run for 7 years in the bush, and they finally caught him up, not the Western New South Wales where Dubbo is, but they caught him up the northern tablelands, just in from the east coast of northern New South Wales. So over 7 years, that guy, he, raided cabins and weekenders and stole food. And by the time they got him, well, he basically looked like Saddam Hussein coming out of a dirt hole. He dirty, filthy hair, dirty, raggedy clothes, bare feet. But they got him. But he also shot a policeman in the last 2 months when they were trying to catch him. It still took him 2 months in the Northern Tablelands area, which is very similar to this Victorian area. So you think they're going to get this guy in a couple of days? No, I don't think so. I think it's going to take them several months, to be quite honest. This other Aboriginal guy, he was a bushman too, and it took them 7 years. I'll see if I can find his short story, because I know they brought it up. I'll just see if I can quickly find it and put it on the end of this video. Oh, here's something that just popped across as I'm scanning all the videos. That's what he looks like. And Desi Freeman, 183, medium build, khaki tracksuit pants, dark green rain jacket, dark brown boots and reading glasses, and a rifle, a handgun, and a shotgun. And that's what he's got, that they know of. But from what we're reading between the lines is what his friend said, he might have more guns and ammunition hidden up there in cabins, up there in the mountains, where it is what we call in Australia Crown land, which is owned by the Queen or the King of England. So therefore then, it's virtually not in national parks and wildlife. It's Australian bush. It's nobody's land. Anyway, I'll keep looking. This news recording is Channel 10 Plus. Now, this is a late night news, but this was 2 or 3 days ago. They still think his wife and children are with him, but they do show the clip where he's had run-in with the police before. He's even stood up in a courtroom and said to a judge he was going to arrest the judge because he did not believe in the Australian laws, and he believed in civil community law or something. Oh, anyway, they'll mention it. I can't remember what he said. It was so ridiculous.
The police helicopter right. Desi Freeman.
There he is there.
And he's been well known to police for some time. He is believed to have been at the property in Porpunka in country Victoria, where police arrived this morning to deliver a warrant.
See, he's already been arrested before for protests in Melbourne City. Then what upset him apparently was the COVID pandemic, when he's told, literally, they said, stay on your farm, but the cop or whoever said to him, no, stay inside your house. See, he actually stayed in his house. He could have walked around on his own farm. He's out in the Victorian countryside near nobody except for the people that he live with on this commune. So back in the COVID days, that was fine because you were isolated. If you were 10 people on a commune farm, you only had them, and only one person was nominated to drive into town to get groceries from the local shop back in the COVID days. But this guy took it literally, and he stayed in the house. He wouldn't go out in the fresh air. And this guy was a bushman, and this also is what they think has set him over the top psychiatrically.
Execution of.
Let's see that map again. Oh, there we go. So there's the little tiny town. That's not the town. That's a few houses along the side of the road. And then that's the main town over here, right? So there's only about 800 people. And he lives in this commune out here. And then you can see it's bushland. And you got that road there. What's that? That's a Buckland Valley Road. And there's this road here that goes through to the ski wheels. So that's the only way people ever come into this town, or else they never get visited. But this is where he was, way out here. And he's gone up here into this bush. I think this is a perfect map just to show where this nutcase was. Anyway, I'll see if we can find this other guy. I can't think of his name. I'm getting old, I think. What do you reckon, people?
Sometime during the execution. crashed. 2 officers shot dead. One was a veteran, a detective, due to retire within days.
Yes, the detective was due to retire this Saturday and he got shot dead last Tuesday. And today's Friday, so that's tomorrow. He was meant to retire tomorrow and they were going to have a party for him and in a great big, in the town hall or something. I think it was in Wangaratta, the big city next door, and there was a couple of thousand or 1,000 people going to show up, and the police commissioner and whoever else was going to show up. This was a very loved detective in a small country town. Everybody knew him. They sat in the pub with him. They had a beer with him. They played bowls together. He did the local community stuff together. The whole town is in shock that he's been shot. They're in shock because of the guy who shot him. And they're also in shock because they are now all locked in their houses in this little tiny town up in these mountain ranges, and they're not allowed out. Even today, Friday, they're not allowed out. And this has been since Tuesday. They're worse than COVID. They're not allowed to drive down the street except to go to the shop, and they tell the policeman out front of their house who they are and where they're going to up the shop. And that policeman apparently radios through and says there's one car coming up from so-and-so address. He's going to the shop. That's how secure it is. Over 800 police in a town that's only got 800 people in it. And does that sort of sink in with you? Anyway, let's see if we can find this other guy. Still can't think of his name. Geez, I hate that. Here's a little bit of found on a current affair. This is how locked up the town is.
I've got my guns there.
Yeah.
I do deer hunting. I taught my son how to shoot.
So you were ready to defend your home?
Yeah, yes.
This is a guy who lives next door.
He's 83 years old. He's a neighbour of Australia's most wanted man, Desmond Philby, now known as Desi Freeman. He was home alone last night as police searched dense bushland at the back of his property, his family on the other side of the roadblock. But Ken was prepared. He has his own guns, all registered and usually stored in a secure gun cabinet, but not last night or today.
What do you think about all of this? This bloke on the run with guns?
Yeah, well, that's no good, is it, really?
Did you have your guns ready?
Yes, I have already.
Ken's family is in lockdown, one of the many who were isolated and in the grip of fear during an ongoing manhunt. His daughter Naomi running the gauntlet and dropping essential supplies to Dad.
He finds it hard to walk and stuff, so it's been a really hectic, scary night. But yeah.
Now let's see how dead the town is.
Small knit community that's, I think it's just a shock.
The family hunkering down today.
Very sad that we've lost.
This guy will kill anybody.
Popunka, a town of about 1,000 residents, it's a thoroughfare on the way to the Victorian snowfields. It's usually buzzing with families and tourists on their way to Falls Creek or Mount Hotham, but not today. Today, it's a ghost town. Residents told to stay indoors and not make unnecessary journeys. The only people in town today are the police and the media. We continue to learn more about Desi Freeman, a self-proclaimed sovereign citizen who was under investigation by the...
Yeah, that's what he calls himself, a sovereign citizen. Means he doesn't apply himself, won't have the Australian laws apply to him. He's a sovereign citizen. If you look at him, I don't think his family background would be Australian Caucasian. I think he might be Lebanese or some Turkish or something like that.
Crime Squad.
Our understanding of him is
That's when he was being arrested before about 2 years ago. And look, it takes, 2 cops to hold him and he's still fighting.
ends bushcraft well, which provides a challenge.
I'll just rewind that because I know you probably want to hear it.
Squad.
Our understanding of him is he understands bushcraft well, which provides a challenge for us. But we keep an absolutely open mind on what options are open to him, and those options will inform our approach.
Victoria Police Chief Commissioner Mike Bush.
Anything's possible. He knows that area, even though we have experts in the area, he will know that area better than us.
This is Freeman impersonating a member of Victoria's Country Fire Authority.
This is a Yarrabulla arm of Lake Buffalo.
The conspiracy theorist uploading videos of himself dressed in firefighting attire.
On the 11th of January 2020.
Today, the CFA confirmed to A Current Affair that he resigned from being a volunteer back in 2014, and anything depicting him in uniform since is unauthorised.
2020 is when we had the big Australian bushfires. Just refresh your memory. We burnt from North Queensland all down the east coast of Australia, right round, all round Sydney, in Sydney City and Lane Cove and areas like that, round the back of Western Sydney, out through the bush, Western Sydney in the Blue Mountains. There's still no kangaroos on one road I used to travel, which is the Bells Liner Road, which is in Australia is a famous road. It's like the Highway 60, not 61, and it still has no kangaroos on it. People, there's 3 billion animals were killed, never recovered. They still haven't recovered. And then it burnt all the way down to the Victorian border, burnt through Victoria, went out through the sheep fields across Western Victoria, burnt into South Australia. And that's this bushfire here that he's talking about, 2020. And then it burnt right over towards until it hit Port Pirie and the Australian outback desert, where it's all sand, and it just ran out of stuff to burn. It was sand, it was desert. And then it jumped over to an island. Apparently it was 10 kilometres off the coast called Kangaroo Island, and it burnt all that out as well. And you might recall there was a famous little dog had been lost on Kangaroo Island for the last 14 months. Little sausage dog. She left her mummy and daddy, so to speak, and they had to come back to Adelaide to go back to work. And National Parks and Wildlife took 14 months to catch her, and this little sausage dog is running around Kangaroo Island. Now, mind you, Kangaroo Island is a haven. There's only kangaroos, wombats and all that. There are no dingoes, and there are no Tassie devils, let alone Tassie tigers. And she was just running around out there. And when they found her, she was in good health. So they don't even, there's plenty of fresh water and all that out there. And, but anyway, getting back onto this one. There you go. If you want to look them up on the map, there you go. We say kilometres, not miles per hour. 33 kilometres, about 25 k's. 26 kilometres, about 15 miles. Anyway.
I think the individual could survive for quite
a while. I'll see if I can still find that other story. I can't think of his name. This is the latest news story. This is live now.
So we will tread carefully through that terrain because we obviously don't want to put any of our members in danger in search for this fugitive.
Police have even appealed to Freeman. Pick up the phone.
If Desi Freeman's watching this, ring 000 and we will support a surrender plan. That option's open to him.
In Port Punker, Victoria, Harry Clark, Sky News.
Expelled Iranian ambassador Ahmad Sadehi has been filmed waving to journalists outside his Canberra residence. Trudy McIntosh has the wrap of the day in Parliament.
Time is running out for Iran's expelled ambassador to leave the country. Ahmed Sadiqi waving to the media outside his residence in Canberra.
Just another statement. Mr. Ambassador, do you think the Prime Minister has gotten this wrong? No comments.
Earlier this week, ASIO revealed Iran's military wing, the IRGC, had directed at least 2 anti-Semitic attacks in Australia. Australian cricketer Usman Khawaja has told...
There anyway. All right, that's going to do it there for me. See you later. That's Hominoid. I did meant to do the story just on the marathon, but there was only one story on the marathon, but there's been 4 days of the Bushranger. Anyway, that's it for me, Hominoid. Hope you enjoyed that. See ya.